And welcome. Let's try that again. Welcome back. Starting out great. Welcome back to the Chronicle of the Crown, session 4. Sans Matthew, once again. But not to worry, it will probably be okay.
So it won't.
we'll start off from where we left off, which is to say our heroes had traveled into a short recap. So our heroes traveled into the Weeping Weald and were ambushed / met with what are apparently the remnants of a people called the Wretched by the people in the south. And they were camping somewhere in the woods with a couple dozen members of their people. And you also met a person called Catla with them, who seems to be a knightly person carrying around full plate attire and knightly armaments. Catla had been staying with the Wretched because the Wretched seem to have been betrayed by their erstwhile leader, Esagar, who is now titled Esagar, the Magistrate of the Weeping Weald, for his service to the king, who remains a little bit elusive at the moment. But we were told last time that Esagar had, as the leader of the Wretched and the Grey Glade, which is their main settlement here, had turned coat and sworn oaths to the king, and that had led to a bit of a conflict inside the Grey Glade with those who disagreed with his moves. And these people were they're basically exiles from the Grey Glade now / remnants of their own people, because it seems like there was an envoy of some kind that came from the king and taught Esagar some things, perhaps some ideas, and of course facilitated the transfer of loyalty to the king. And apparently the Esagar is possessed of some rather nefarious purpose, but also nefarious means. And we've seen the corpses of the Covenant of the First Flame members who have made it their task to wander into the woods. We don't know much about that yet, but we know that there's a lot of them around here, and they're all dead. They were all killed. The king doesn't approve of them at all, as we saw from our visit to Vorbeck and since as well. We have seen their bodies littering the Great Road north, and some bodies have been indeed nailed to the trees around the Grey Glade, as a warning, perhaps, or a sign of just pure, power. Well, there's certainly something going on in the Grey Glades that has drawn the eye of our heroes, and we are going to go in. So we're starting outside the Grey Glade again to remind us of the facts here. The Grey Glade is basically a swamp that was created by diverting some of the water from a great mountain stream into an area that was not naturally a swamp. It has killed basically all the great pine trees that were here originally in the sort of like dry pine forests ground, because they're not used to that kind of wetness. And it has formed this rather large swampy area of dead trees and dead vegetation. Now, the vegetation recovers much quicker than actual trees grow, of course. So there's live vegetation in the swamp, but the trees remain dead. The Grey Glade itself is a settlement built into the trees around an ancient watchtower, which serves as the central point. So there's a lot of platforms surrounding these great tree trunks, which are dead, but they still support the settlement. These platforms connected by bridges of wood, perhaps just wood, or perhaps wood and rope, or just rope. And the central hub, being the watchtower, is constructed of stone. It used to, from the looks of it, that you can tell anyway, it used to be higher than the forest, but it has crumbled and is no longer able to sort of pierce through this fairly tall forest canopy. And last time we had Terrell do a little bit of reconnaissance around, well, just trying to see what's going on in the Great Glade, because we didn't have the exact figures on what's there currently, because the exiles are not going to turn up here, because they will probably get recruited if they are lucky, and killed if not. And Terrell snooped around a bit, coming to the
not
conclusion.
Effectively, unfortunately.
Well, you did have
the sneaking part, at least. The scouting one.
You did successfully sort of go around looking for things. So what you have discovered is there's lookouts posted around, and seemingly it's people, much like the ones that you met in the woods. Seems like woodland folk, bows, clubs as their weapons, these sentries that you can tell positioned on quite high arrangements of wood, or just platforms in general. And you've spotted others as well. There's warriors around who seem to be carrying basically just a sword. But you did spot, because you have perfect sight in starlight, which it's not ability to see through that, but you have some light, which is enough for you.
By the light of the three moons, we see in the darkness.
Indeed. And you've noted that these warriors that carry a sword have, seems in this, because it's not quite close enough for you to tell the details on it, but they have similar kind of stuff smeared on the sword that Catla has on hers. Catla has a hand and a half sword, which has this sort of, Glarver supposed maybe it's a tree resin that they smear on their, weapons. Catla has it. It's dark, seems kind of like a glue, but it's not wet, but it's some kind of sticky substance covering basically the length of her sword.
Yeah.
And these people here seem to have something similar on their swords. The swordsmen have smeared something on their swords as they sort of patrol about the place. And you suppose that probably if there's a chieftain here, as Esagar has been called that by the Wretched in the camp, probably going to be in the Watchtower ruins. That seems like the place you would have your leader, most defensible place in the
Well, that's
swamp.
where I'd be.
Yeah.
If I were controlling this position.
Yeah.
Question: Did you give me numbers on the people
right?
that
So
roughly? Obviously, I might not know the exact.
There's like a handful of these like sentries that you've spotted. The ones with bows stationed a little bit higher up in the trees. So there's a handful of those, and
Like what, half a dozen? You'd say maybe.
Yeah, it's like 5, 6 thereabouts.
Half a dozen archers.
Yep. Half dozen of those. You'd say maybe a dozen swordsmen from what you've seen. And
they're not. They don't have. They have shields or no shields.
Only swords. Just swords.
Oh, okay, well that makes this easier.
And they do have armor as well, but armaments wise, it's just a sword. And
a shield is one less thing to have to go through. They can't do shield wall tactics. It makes my life easier when I have to murder them all.
There's sort of non-combat equipped people going about as well. Now, this is night because you had established that you're approaching at night.
Yeah.
And there's
it was twilight-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's not a huge amount of them going about, but there is some food being prepared. People are moving about during their sort of evening duties.
The evening routine, basically, before everyone goes to bed.
And you see, you were told that there's probably maybe a couple hundred in total people around this part. There's quote unquote civilians around, and you also note that some of the civilians might not be dead or alive in the traditional sense, being something in between, perhaps because they sort of shuffle about in the starlight. Their skin seems awfully pallid. They have a sort of sunken look about them.
Some of them are zombies.
Something is not right with these ones. And what else? I was thinking of something. Shit. Well, it'll come back to me. Right. So you weren't spotted by the sentries. You know that much. You know who spotted you.
Oh.
And it is an individual dressed in a poorly kept but formerly fine plate mail, which Catla had mentioned that there were 2 knights accompanying the envoy of the king when the envoy came over here before disappearing. And she claims to be one of those, and had said that the other one probably still there because the envoy is not here, so the knight wouldn't have left. And the knight, much as Catla said, the darkness is not a problem. You got spotted by this armored individual, and you can tell, like it makes no secret of the fact that basically there's a sort of like a snap of the helmet in your direction, and then just staring for a bit. And as you move, it starts moving as well. Not in a running gait. It's just like there's that like sharing of the stairs, and
then but it makes no attempt to raise an alarm.
It does walk away somewhere, but it doesn't immediately yell out.
Right. Okay.
Do something, but you know that you've been spotted by whatever this thing is.
That's fine.
And you've made your way back with this information to Glarvir, and you've hashed out you've shared this presumably with Glarvir.
Yeah, let's just say that I've shared all this, and essentially what I'm on now is basically because Catla is the only person we really have with this sort of information probably with us. I would, of course, in the best old human tongue speech that I can manage, I would, obviously after conveying this information in said same language, she understands what I'm saying, I would say to her, so I need to know about the strange resin that is on your blade and the blades of the swordsmen in town. Oh, and I found your old friend who's dressed just like you. Is he also of the unliving persuasion? I need to know these things, tactics and such, and who gets to live, who gets to die, that sort of thing.
No, this one is different. It will stay down if you put it down.
Oh well, that's lovely. He's not nearly as cursed as you.
It will be difficult to achieve this, though. I will strive to highlight this. Just because they are not doomed the same way, it will not be.
I understand. They're a bit more hardy than the normal human. I understand.
To who does this armored individual owe their loyalty? Do you have any idea, Catla?
Formerly to the envoy, and through the envoy to the king. Everyone ultimately serves the king.
And presumably now they're helping Esagar.
The envoy is now lost. And,
is there no end to this oath-breaking madness?
Well, I don't think they're oath-breaking. I think they are following the oaths of their new liege, this king of the north or what?
Esagar is a vassal of the king now. So that is why I thought we might meet this here.
Glarvir, I suppose it depends on which oaths you want to punish them for breaking. If we're punishing them for breaking the original oaths to their people, or
yes.
Oh well, then we're on the same page. That leads me to the resin question now, Catla. What is this substance? Is it poisonous? Do we need to be concerned about it in battle?
It is an ancient, and she has once more. You've seen this before. She has the like discombobulated sort of expression because she's taken her helmet off.
Yeah, that's
to talk
fine.
To you.
That's fine.
She's sort of picking up on the fact that you want to look at faces.
Yeah.
And
we don't mind that she looks the way she looks.
Yeah, she's like, I'm kind of shriveled and dead.
It's really not bothering either of us.
She says it is an ancient craft of the people who use of this forest. This one, and she like draws her sword, which is not in a scabbard because it's all resined up. It's through this like
loop through the belt.
Yeah, it's just a metal loop on the belt, which just hangs on there. So she draws it a bit to show you the resin. It's like, this is the original craft. It is highly volatile. I will be able to wield this to great effect against some of the dooms of the land. I remember how to make it. She's kind of lost for a bit, and then says, "You were thinking of doing something quite drastic in the Grey Glade, I think, and for that we have these." And she has a couple of baseball-sized sort of pouches of leather, seems like, that are basically packed very tight like baseballs. And there's a tiny piece of string almost that sticks out of it, and it says, the same decoction that makes the resin such as it is filled in these. I have 2 of them here. We could, I think you were thinking of something more grandiose perhaps for a siege here, but these will serve if we need to make an entrance.
There's some sort of explosive device.
It will be very lively if you light this. And she points at this piece of string that comes out of the tightly packed leather ball.
Humans are getting clever, Glavier.
Oh, this is an old trick. They're not. These people. I will say. You say. In the Grey Glade, they have resin.
Their swords are very much like your own. Yes.
It is a craft that the envoy taught to Esagar, and
something
Esagar,
of the old world. Then
it is. They don't make use of the resin anymore, but the envoy has revived it in a horrific form. This is the original craft, not in the Grey Glade. My sword will shine like the sun once we get into
flame or
that will not be the case with the swords in the Grey Glade. They will be something dark.
I suppose all I need to know is that if it's going to be a problem when
it is going to.
And poor Glavier here does not have a bow like I do, so he has to engage at close range. So,
pray do not get stabbed.
Okay, so then,
well, I do not fear death. If it is what the fates will, then it will be as the fates will.
This is.
Tell me, Tyrell, will you share some of my post-battle drink with me in the time-honored fashion of my...
I mean, of course I shall. Once we've defeated our foe, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It is a pre-battle drink. The post-battle.
We're doing
pre-battle. The post-battle drink is an entirely different brew.
I'm sorry. I thought you said post-battle. I'm sorry. My head is awash with the details of the upcoming battle and siege that we have to plan here. I apologize.
And that is why we drink this.
Yes,
our pre-battle brew to settle all doubt in our mind and to make sure that the vast sea of details do not distract us. Drink deeply, my friend, and let us fight well.
Yes, think deeply, yes, please. Oh.
Catla is putting on her helmet.
Obviously, Catla's welcome to have some of the brew as well, but she's undead. I'm expecting it.
Yeah, she's just letting you have your moment.
So we should first off, I believe, establish our rules of engagement. Now, there are civilians that seems to still be alive within the Grey Glade. I believe the refugees who you had previously been accompanied with, Catla, want them back.
They won't. Everyone in the Grey Glade will owe allegiance to Esagar or to the king directly. You will find, and she taps her helmet, perhaps on the face, perhaps usually on the forehead, you will find a mark. Esagar will have marked everyone in the village with his own touch. And those who are not marked by Esagar will be marked directly by the king. There is no one in the village that they will, in the camp, they will not want any of them. They have been spoiled.
So are you saying that the Grey Glade is a free fire zone? We can just kill whoever we like?
It is for you to do as you will. What I am saying is the Wretched cannot forgive this betrayal, and there is no withdrawing from the power of the king, and we should. I doubt that we will be able to.
I have to say, Catla, I've enjoyed your company, but your answers leave something to be desired.
Have I been unclear? Like she sounds like oh, what? Did I say something wrong?
No, it's just that I need to know. We're planning a battle here, dear. We need to know if we go in there throwing bombs and bowing down everyone and stabbing and clawing and hammering and all forms of murder on the table, or does it even be more precise, more surgical? If there are people that can be saved, are they saved by just killing Esagar or the seeming undead creatures? If we get rid of the warriors, will the civilians want to be free? Or are they simply all just, as you say, betrayers and oathbreakers, and Glarvier can just wade into them to his heart's content?
His words, not mine. Points to Glarvier.
He does not like oathbreakers, Clara.
No, I don't.
Well, I suppose I am one too, seeing as I no longer serve the king.
Yes, but your king does not sound like a very pleasant fellow.
And looking at you, Catla, if you'll forgive me for saying so, you appear to have already paid the price.
Fair enough.
If we manage to triumph over Esagar, that will severely lessen the king's grip on the Weald. It might also do that for the people of the Grey Glade. I have no way to tell if we will be able to save them afterwards. Do you have perhaps in your retinue or somewhere to the south great sages and healers? Because these people will benefit from administrations afterwards.
I mean, I can see what I can do for them myself, but...
Well, Terrell, isn't our departed friend Cameron some sort of a mystical, magical chappie? I must confess the niceties of this these human sorceries and rituals are somewhat lost on me. But
I do believe his powers bend in a very different direction from what Catla is perhaps saying the villagers may need. However, myself, I shall, of course, do what I can for them, where knowledge of healing is something that I have picked up along the way.
Well, I have a certain amount of, I suppose, field knowledge that I've picked up during my fighting days. You know, to keep the men moving, minor
Indeed.
injuries, nothing nothing of sagely sort. I'm not sure how much value it'll be in a situation like this. If you want me to patch up a man and keep him fighting on the battlefield, that I can do. However, all this mystical mumbo jumbo is a little bit outside my wheelhouse, I'm afraid, Terrell.
I feel between the two of us, Glaria, we may be able to muddle through, but we do have to first take the town.
Well, if we're saying that this Esagar is going to be our primary target, so to speak,
he is.
It certainly sounds logical that he would be. Catla, can you furnish us with a description of Esagar so that if we see him, we would know him?
Oh, yes, that's a very good point.
Well, it happens occasionally, Terrell. Try not to sound too surprised.
You have depths that I have yet to plumb, my friend. This
Indeed.
Whole point of my observing you as closely as I do.
Indeed, my people are like the mountain chasm.
I suppose that's fair.
Catla says in the ye old English version of Dwarvish, it says to Glarvir, it's like the roots of the mountain.
I give her a nod, indeed.
Esagar, when we arrived with the envoy, Esagar was an old chieftain with the frailties of old age. I presume he would have been invigorated some by the sigil of power conferred on him by the envoy of the king. He will be much revitalized by the king's power. Such is simply the case. But he, no doubt, still though remains an older.
He's still alive and mortal, not unliving or whatever else is going on in this town.
She is almost like actively, like you can watch your words like pummel her into this like discombobulated, like confused state. And it takes her a bit, like she turns the helmet around a couple times as if to like scanning the ground, like, where am I? And he'll be a unless he has taken on much more aptitude, he will be much as he was, perhaps an old man with a young man's vitality in life. No pain in the bones.
Now, you mentioned this this mark of power that the envoy has bestowed on him. And if you don't know this, of course, that's fine. But does the power lie directly in the mark? So if we were to remove the physicality of the mark, would it weaken him?
The mark, and this is why you would need your sages. If Esagar is able enough to confer his own mark upon the people here, this is why you would need the sages, because the mark is not merely on the flesh. The doom goes deeper than
tied to their spirits, I presume.
It is. I would still say, if you try and carve it off his head, you would achieve your goal.
Couldn't hurt.
no matter if the mark came off or no. He can be struck down. The king wouldn't have infused him with more power this far in the wheel. No. He is a vassal, but still a distant one.
I have a question for our illustrious War Master.
Yes.
So obviously we've spent a fair degree of time with Catla at this stage.
Yeah.
We've examined her condition. We've heard her speak. We've noticed the patterns. Again, probably can't do anything about her overall condition. That's probably sorceries and powers that run much deeper than my ability.
And beyond Elven, like this is something else.
It's a form different. Exactly. It's a different wheelhouse, essentially. But is there any way, potentially, that I could, at the very least, maybe clear it up a bit, like in her head at the very least?
Okay.
make the works run a little bit more smooth. I mean, I
So-
just feel like she's suffering.
Yeah,
And
she's got something going on for
Not
sure.
completely heartless. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm pretty high on the jaded grief scale, but I'm not completely, bereft of sympathy. So.
Yeah. And that is as well. It's a good point to highlight here because Terrell has 6 grief. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Must max that as I get
Terrell
at the moment.
isn't, like sort of the numbness of the spirit.
Yeah.
Is you're nowhere near that. You're the fact that you're still on grief. You're still an actual like quote unquote like feeling.
Yeah,
good.
I feel things. I just
Like
feel things for less.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
just that
Yeah.
you've been hurt so much that you recognize some of these hurts as like this old friend again.
This old chestnut here. Yeah, exactly.
But everything still feels terrible. It's just like you've come to sort of accept
You just get
the
used
fact
to it
that
after
this
a while.
this is terrible.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it. But for Catla,
but I'd like to if I could. And
you've got plenty of
my brain throughout that journey.
Give me a perception roll, obstacle 1, just to see how many you get to figure out how much you figured her out.
I'm gonna be so sad if this
0
batches. I swear, I have a 9. If this is the best thing I have on my sheet, like
yeah.
All right, let me just roll it. Obstacle 0. You said
1.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it needs 1.
It needs 1 at least, right?
Yep. Yeah. Okay, 7.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you.
If you want to, and this is like some next level, strategizing stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to spend Artha here, you could. If you wanted to spend a fate, just to get some fate spent on
I do have like a lot of 6s there. Don't I?
You do.
How would that benefit
in the long term?
Situation?
This is exactly so. The long. You think about like as a plan,
right?
But as like advanced level strategy thing here.
Mechanics, okay.
Like if you wanted to put an effort into making your perception go from black shade to gray shade, you would want to dump your Artha into it when you can. So this would be an option for you because you have 6s to put fate points into one fate point into your perception, if that's the thing you wanted to pursue.
So in other words, if I wanted to bump my perception into the next shade,
this
is the moment to try to do.
Yeah, this is like you can start that from here, but it's a long journey.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I have to do that. It's like 5 difficults, 3 challengings, or something like that. I think, right?
Oh, and that's not even a part of it. It's just like how many of your points of different kinds you've spent on your perception. That's the thing.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So I'm again, this is a mechanic we haven't encountered yet. And since I'm very close to that edge with my perception, at least.
Yep.
So in this case, how much does it take to do that? Like,
it takes a lot.
It's the section for that on our sheet.
Yes, it's on the sheet. And let me look at yours.
Is it underspending Artha?
Yeah. So that would be. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's in spending Artha.
Major epiphany.
Major epiphany. Yeah.
I see it.
20, 10, and 3. So it's a long-term project, but this is how you get there. Like you put in little bits of fate when you can, if you want to advance that.
Okay, definitely. I see what you mean now. Okay.
Yeah. And you can blast off your incredible 5 6s for additional successes here to see if you've completely figured out what's going on with Catla.
Okay, so I have 5 fate right now. I have like tons of 6s, right?
Yeah, you spend 1 fate, you reroll all your 6s for perception. Here.
So I can only spend the 1 fate and then rerolls everything.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you spend 1, reroll all 6s.
Okay, and now just as a tracker.
Yep.
Oh, I see. There's a tracker along the side of the sheet.
Yes.
Boom, boom. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do that then. Thank you for bringing that up. I will do exactly that. I will dump 1 fate down. Mm-hmm. Now there is a button for that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is at the top
right here.
Fate.
Remaining. Yeah.
You go all the way up under stats and skills. There's a.
I see it right here. Yeah, and there's 5 dice involved.
Yeah.
And then hit submit.
Okay, 2 more.
Okay, 2 more.
2 more. So 9 successes.
It's about as good as anyone ever can do in a roll.
It feels like because with this roll of 9 successes, which is incredible.
Yeah.
You've managed to piece together a sort of map of your interactions with Catla.
Mm-hmm.
Specific topics like confuse her and send her into this like, what was I talking about? And what?
So like a fugue state almost.
Yeah, almost like a fugue state. And it's specific topics that are usually related to something perhaps beyond what you would expect like a knightly person to have around. Like some topics which you, from piecing together, like, oh, she's a knight,
right,
in service of a king and whatnot.
It's kind of like her higher education is a little bit scrambled.
Like some parts of what she is talking about confuse even her, because you think they're not a part of the what she seems to be.
Okay.
And you're not quite sure if she has like a personality thing going where she thinks she's more than two people, or if there's something else going on there. But there's distinctly the Catla, the knight, everything's fine for the most part.
Right.
When you start straying into more esoteric things, it gets confusing for her, and she starts stumbling around and but she nonetheless, she has the words and the knowledge usually on the esoteric stuff as well, but it throws her for a loop a lot of the time. So basically, if you're talking to Catla the knight, fine,
bang on, right?
Fine. But you start talking about like half of the stuff related to the king does that to her. Some of the old history does that to her. She's
sort of like her higher brain functions, like, because with the night stuff, it could be, you can also say that's muscle memory, autonomic.
Yeah.
Whereas accessing like stuff you've learned takes different parts of your brain. So it could be your brain is just a little bit confuddled by whatever sorceries they used on her, essentially,
But yeah, so you've mapped it out. Like, I can talk to her about this stuff, and then basically history, the king, magic, like these things tend to confuse her quite a bit.
So I'm just kind of looking at, bear with me, I'm just kind of looking at my Song of Soothing here. It's pain of an character treating injuries. So I wonder if it's much of a stretch, because I also looked at the rules for healing in the system. I get that she's not necessarily damaged in that sense of the basic combat damage health system. But I wonder if, such as we see in perhaps a more famous example, Lord of the Rings, where I might not be able to cure it completely or get rid of whatever is affecting her, but can I maybe clear it up a little bit, perhaps, or make an attempt to, I should say. Because obviously, my skill is not terrible, but I'm not an expert on it.
I think you will have been able to do this, and to your knowledge, as far as you understand it, it didn't really do much. Like, that you did the right thing. Like, we'll like elide this, and I'm gonna say yes.
I made the attempt,
thing, and you didn't get like notable results as far as you can tell. And also there's the fact as well that she at least claims that even if Glarver lopped off her head, she would be back. There's no killing her. She has said nothing in the forest can actually kill her. So there's presumably there's some kind of a permanency to her state, or at least a return. And maybe it's just the fact that her baseline state is somehow, what it is.
There's powers beyond the natural world that are preventing her from
1,000%.
Yes. So beyond medicine,
your medicine, and that it worked.
I know my medicine works.
It did not cure her whatever's going.
I mean, I didn't expect it to, but I was hoping to at least maybe make the attempt to help clear her up a bit. But it was worth the effort. I think.
And Glarvir, presumably, because you're traveling along, you would have seen this stuff happen, Terrell basically questioning Catla, and offering the elven medicine and all this stuff. And you would have seen some of the same things, like when Terrell starts digging into, like, oh, tell me about the what's the curse, the magic on the here. And she has confusing answers and doesn't seems to like forget where she is every now and then.
Okay.
And all that.
So I guess returning to our battle plan then.
Yeah, there's a flashback, and then
there's a flashback. I'm guessing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, as we were saying, so from what it sounds like to me, Glavia, and this is my rough outline. Our rules of engagement should be anything armed, anything that attempts to attack us, it dies. It's simple enough.
That's how I normally roll when I go into battle, Terrell.
Well, just I'm used to a more orderly system. I'm just attempting to convey to you how us elves do battle. How's that? You can add it to your story repertoire when you return home. However, I do believe we should break our efforts up. It seems to me that the targets are as such. We need to remove the swordsmen from the field completely, because their swords apparently have some form of works or enchantment upon them that we don't want to deal with. There are archers in the trees, which I shall be able to dispatch, not an issue. And then, of course, there is Esagar himself. Now, personally speaking, I have a bone to pick with Esagar, so I would be more than happy to dispatch him personally. And what I envision for you, Glavia, your place in this grand tapestry, is at the heart of the story. You see, what I envision here is that once we have dispatched the swordsman, and I have some ideas how we can do that with those fancy little balls of explosiveness that Catla have. Once they're dispatched, you can then, of course, appeal to the people. You can appeal to their senses of honor and tell them we're here to save them. However you want to speechify it, I'll leave that to your capable oratory skills. In the meantime,
denouncing them all as oath breakers, I understand.
However you wish to proceed. Remember, you're the hero here. We want you to be the hero here. The hero of Vorbeck. It's going to be a very nice opening chapter, or verse, I should say, to the song that I'm crafting for you. So, you will be the hero while I slip off and Esagar, and then once he's gone, hopefully we can return this place to its more natural state. And if they give us any trouble, of course, the rules of engagement are kill anything that gives us trouble. So.
And we believe that Esagar is to be located in the central tower, is that correct?
The tower, yes. Which I should... that night might give me an issue. He did see me earlier. The other you, Catla, but that's not you. He did notice me. Very perceptive of him, to notice an elf in the woods. I was, dare I say, I was offended, but I digress.
Well, I do have one small question on Catla, the explosives that you carry. What is the force of the explosive? How?
It is. I would.
Enough to bring down a building?
Perhaps a corner of our building, and then the rest of the building, once the fire spreads, for the substance will spread and burn for a considerable amount of time.
Now, remind me, what was the tower at the centre made out of?
Stone. It's ancient stonework from the old High Kingdom.
In which case, I was going to suggest to Rael as a small addition to your plan. If we believe Esagar to be in the tower, and we can get to the tower, as you know, like most of my people, I have something of a way with stone. I am akin to appreciating its strengths and also locating its flaws. if I were to locate a flaw in the stone of the tower and was to plant one of these explosives in it, if we could bring down the tower with Esagar inside it, although I have no hopes that it would simply slay him as the tower fell, it might weaken and disorient him enough that he would pose less of a danger to our group.
I do believe your kind calls those sappers, yes?
That's correct.
I won't say no, but I am inclined not to say yes for two reasons. For one, I do believe you may need those devices to dispatch of the swordsmen without having to engage with them at close range. Remember, our friend Catla here said that those blades are covered in this strange dark substance.
It will be an imitation of the original craft which I have here, but profaned more than likely by Esagar.
In other words, I don't think we want to risk you being cut by one of these blades. Better to
not advise that. No.
Burst them into fire. And
I appreciate your sentiment, Terrell, but what is combat if not a calculated risk?
Calculated, yes, that's the key word. And I'm calculating that it would be better for you to dispatch the infantry with these explosives. And of course, there is a second reason here. If I bring the tower down on Esagar, then I can't very well say that I killed Esagar. And I have to say, I have a keen interest in dispatching this particular vile version of humanity.
Well, I highly doubt that bringing the tower down, and with all this talk of empowering sigils and what like, I highly doubt the tower would kill him.
You will. Well, a tower is still a tower. Force and the natural forces of the world coming crashing down on them. It's, I mean, Catla, he's not that unnatural. He could survive a tower being dropped on his head, could he?
Not the whole tower.
Exactly.
But I would be sure of his demise.
And the only way I can be sure is if I shoot him.
There's no half measures with the servants of the king. I would see, and I make no attempt to modify your strategy. That is for you. This is your theater. Now I would like to make one request in two parts.
By all means.
I will assist you in whatever ways you deem desirable in this endeavor. I would like to lay claim to two spoils of this little war of ours.
That's reasonable.
The skull and the spine of Esagar once this is done.
Oh, well, I only care about claiming his kill, so you can have
it is settled then.
I have no need for the relics of his death.
I just need to know that it was done and done by me.
And while
she once she says and then it is done, she freezes and starts looking around again. It's like, what? But she doesn't say the what, but that is what is happening. Like she's looking around a bit, like, okay, let's get acclimatized. Where am I?
So whilst I
okay.
I'm sure she'll be fine, Terrell.
Well, we don't need her having one of her episodes mid-battle.
I think your strategy is we shall have to win the day with heroism. That is.
Well, whilst that, Terrell, I think your urge to stand face to face with Esagar and so to speak,
not quite,
and to bring him to justice does you credit. I do think that as Catla says, given that he is empowered by who the ancestors knows what unholy magic, I do feel we should, as the humans say, stack the deck in our favor as much as possible.
Well,
shall we strike at the head of the serpent then?
Indeed.
Shall we make for the tower and cut him down?
We shall, but again, someone has to deal with everyone else. We can't have a, full platoon of sword-wielding infantry with these strange blades coming at us from behind. We have to deal with them first. The archers, as I said, I can take out easily. I suppose we could.
A distraction, then.
You only have 2 of these devices, Catla?
She nods. If we
Well,
had
I suppose,
time, I could make more, perhaps.
Well, yes, but we have to strike while the iron's hot. They've already spotted me, and who knows what they're planning inside this.
Well, if they have spotted you, they will know that we are. Surely they will know that we are coming.
Yes, they will know, but it's the matter of our coming that is important, not that we are coming. So, Glavio, are you confident that you can set one of these devices at the base of the tower without being seen and get away?
Well, I don't say I can do it without being seen.
I mean, I'll take care of the sentries and the trees for you. That shouldn't be an issue, but I can't. And Catla's going to be assigned to the swordsman.
I'm confident if I can get to the tower, I can set the device. How I cannot say how wide the yield will be. That will depend on the state of the wall, and I do not know that until I have a chance to examine it.
It's all right. We don't necessarily need to bring the whole town down on its head. We just need to.
There are a number of uncertainties. Nothing is for definite here, and I will most definitely. I am not built for stealthily creeping up to such places and laying a trap.
It is swamp underneath the Grey Glade. At any rate, it will be very difficult to remain hidden once you're slogging.
He won't need to remain hidden. The sentries and the trees will be gone, and the swordsmen will have their own problems. I'm just making sure that he can get there relatively without drawing that much attention until the device is set.
If it does not, if the sentries and the swordsmen are not going to be a problem, assuming I do not face worse in the swamp, then I should be fine.
Well, Catla takes the 2 like baseball-sized leather balls, which are like very tightly packed with something, and then there's they've tied it very tightly, and there's the small wick on each, and she holds them out to Glarvir. It's like, this is how we do them. Do you have a source of fire for these?
I'll sort of look down at the old flint and steel, and my plan will be like my sort of the keg that I've got that have the piss poor human beer in, which I'm assuming is waterproof because it keeps water in.
Yeah.
My plan is to basically take the top off that, empty it out, dry it thoroughly using my shirt or whatever, and then put the explosives in there and close it up. So if I slip and fall in the swamp, it's not going to be like, oh, the explosives are saved this room.
Yeah. Okay. So we should. Glover is preparing. Tyrell, we should be on our way. I will be the distraction. It seems.
Hello, are you sure you don't want one of those devices? I had intended on you using one of them on the swordsman. Would you?
It seems you are the general.
Well, once upon a time. I'll tell you that story another day. I would not want to leave you insufficiently armed. There are 12 swordsmen, and I do intend on you distracting all of them.
I don't wish to pour ale on your fire, Tyrell, but she's an immortal undead warrior.
Yes, but she can still be incapacitated temporarily. We can't have her being incapacitated while our plan is coming together.
Shall I take one then?
Very well.
Okay, so take one back. Do be careful with the setting the fire to it. They can be temperamental. That is, after all, their use.
Well, my plan is to effectively cover it in a very strong spirit I just so happen to have, and then effectively lay a detonation trail using said same spirit a short distance from it and ignite it that way.
Clever. Very clever, Glavik. Very clever.
Wonderful. Shall we go? I am
indeed. Give me the signal when you want me to start making my way to the tower.
The signal will be the first explosive going off.
Very well.
And that is when you will address the bowman.
Oh, I shall be addressing them as you get into position. Yes, don't worry. We don't want them raising any alarms before you toss that little present of ours.
Then I will hold here, and as soon as I hear the first explosive go, I will make my way to the tower.
Okay,
All right.
so we have our sort of order of business. So Catla is going to start going towards the, well, I suppose the entrance, really, like one of these ramps that goes up, because it's
she'll need to be near the perimeter of a ramp. That way she can charge.
Fight well, my friends, and glory to your ancestors.
Glory to your ancestors, Glavia.
Catla says, "May we die well." And it doesn't sound like a, like a sort of like, oh, it's going down. Like, she sounds kind of like it seems like this is her way of saying good hunting, but it's to her it's like, oh, maybe we die well.
Yeah.
And she sets off. And,
I expect for her it sounds like hopeful, like, please.
Yeah. It's like, I just want to die.
Come on,
just kill me, man.
She heads off. So Terrell, you're up first. So you're gonna try and I presume like shoot these lookouts.
Right. So I pretty much know where all the archers are.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, I guess my question here before we do any dice rolling or anything like that is, do I have a better, is it better to be mobile on the ground, taking each one out individually, or can I get an angle perhaps from one of the trees that would allow me to sight pretty much all of them and then take them out?
You would have to go around.
Basically, I had to go around.
Basically do a like a
ring around the
semicircle.
ring around the rosy archery style.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's I thought that's what I pretty much thought from based on the perimeter when we described it. All right, so that is exactly what I want to do. Yes, they all have to die.
Okay,
there is no sparing them, unfortunately.
So I think
not really. Unfortunately, do I feel like it's unfortunate? I don't know. It's hundreds of years of battle.
Like,
do I even care?
Depends on like I suppose how Terrell looks at these people. From what Catla's been telling you, the envoy came to town and everything went to shit because the envoy got to Esagar and Esagar dealt with the rest of his people.
I'm not really a fan of this Esagar. He's if this was back home and he was one of my vassals,
bad times.
Naughty.
Yeah.
But I guess still going to be that way because I'm going to shoot him in the face. So,
I'm because you're going to shoot them with your bow. So
yes, the bow, yeah.
So what would you? Because we need to follow because this is a learning moment again for us.
Definitely.
Because the procedure here is we need to establish your intent and your task. We know your intent: kill the lookouts,
kill the archers.
Yeah, and what is your task? Which skill are you using to achieve this?
Well, I would presume that it is my fantastic archery, but
and this is where I want to say you are entirely correct. However, you could also try and make the argument for something else. I think perhaps because the situation is such that the lookouts don't necessarily know that you're there because they're up in the trees. They haven't talked to the person who saw you.
Gotcha.
So you could, if you wanted to, make an argument perhaps for stealthy. Like if you wanted to roll stealthy instead of your bow, you could do that. We don't need to. I just wanted to bring it up because
no, that makes sense.
It's, I mean, like this is what you don't need to use your weapon skill to do the thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, for my stealthy, it's not nearly as good as my bow. So
you would want to shoot
the
them. The
bow is going to be leading the day here. And actually, I got to look up the stats because I never did write them down. I don't think.
And you don't need to. You don't need to because we're not dealing with the detailed.
Oh, we're not doing that stuff. Level of combat.
So what we're dealing with here is you say, I want to shoot all these guys. If you get better than they do, you shot all the guys.
They're just
they're
cleared.
Dead. Yeah, you shot them.
Okay, so tell me what you would like. What obstacle you'd like me to roll?
I would like for you to just roll against one because they will oppose you with their observation because they're trying to figure out where you are. And so your intent is kill all the lookouts.
Yeah.
If the lookouts get more than you do when it comes to successes, they will raise the alarm. So if they get more than you do, they will have like Intruder.
Yeah, that's
then,
of course the
shit's-
thing I don't want them to do.
Yeah.
Now, I have a quick question, game rules question.
Yes.
I know we touched on it very briefly last
Mhm.
session, but so when you obviously input your dice, there's a section called help, forks, advantages. Now, obviously, I know
Yes.
what help is. I know what advantages are.
Yeah.
But forks.
Forks.
How does that?
Right.
Does that?
So
Can you fork yourself? That sounds a little bit wrong, but
no, but that's like when in Elfland, you know.
yeah, right. That's what.
Go fork yourself. So fork is field of related knowledge, and the way that works is you apply your other skills to the tune of 1 die per skill to your actual roll if you can make an argument for why this helps.
Sure.
So, and it's very apparent most of the time. So if you're trying to
stealthy
shoot someone with a bow and you're trying to be stealthy about it, you take an extra die because you have stealth skill. And if you have, for example, guy in a tree wise,
or say
you know about guys in trees.
Say forest wise, perhaps.
And this is the thing. That would apply. However, we are in a swamp right now.
Oh, true. Technically speaking, that's fair enough.
Because that's you go outside of the Grey Glade, you're good to go. Grey Glade,
but once you're inside, it's very swamped out. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So stealthy, 1000%. You get an extra die for that. If you want to, you don't have to, but you can if you want to. And any other skill that is applicable here, you can put that in.
I would make an argument. I would also make an argument for my my own observation, if only because obviously I'm trying to be stealthy. I'm trying to find basically the targeting solution, if we're going to use a more technical term. I'm not an archer.
I can see it, and that's only because the sort of point for these sentries is they are high up and kind of
hidden. Exactly. I kind of have to identify their exact position to do that one shot, one kill. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that's fine.
So okay, cool. So that's 2 forks then.
And that's the distinction there would be if these guys were standing around the city itself,
because they're clearly available.
You don't need to find them. They're there.
Has eyes, right? Yeah. I see what you mean exactly. I like that. It's interpretive. I like it. Okay, cool. So let me just submit that one. Then that's nowhere off that dice for now. And it was difficulty of 1 for now. Let's see what we do.
7 with 3 6s as well. Let's see what these guys roll. It's not going to be as good though.
It's not going to be that, I hope.
It's not going to be that good because we established what their observation was last time.
I think we did, right? It wasn't that high.
Yeah, it's 4, and they do get 1 fork themselves because they know about the
because they kind of knew
shit. Yeah, and let's see how this goes. It's not going to be as good. Still very good though.
That's really good for them though. That's really good for them though.
Yeah, there's multiple instances I think of you like turning around to shoot at the next guy just in time for the guy to be like
yeah. A very cinematic scene.
But you get all of them. So you shot 6 guys in total, and you're convinced that they're all dead. Now this is where like you're doing this. Glarver is waiting in the wings, and now we get to see what happens with Catla here. So
can I interject just one more mechanical question before we do that?
Okay.
I'm just curious. So when you fork, does that count as a use of a skill for the purposes of learning?
Not the fork stuff. You're
okay. Just want to check. Just the main skill. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that's where you can, again, a learning moment here. So you don't need to use forks if you don't want to, but when you're using that, you might be able to finagle what kind of test it turns out to be. Because you can include more dice, and that affects the thing. So for you would be looking at 7 against 4, which I guess is a routine for your bow.
Routine. I don't have routines on bow anymore.
Yeah, so your bow is already good enough to not. Yeah. So you don't get a advancement dot for that, but that's fine.
That's fine.
You get what you wanted anyway.
Yeah.
6 dead guys.
But like next time, for example, that might have made the case, like you said, to do stealthy instead as a lead.
Yeah. Or
and
like
fork up with the other ones because.
Or use your bow and don't fork because you want to keep the amount of dice down.
Oh, sure, to make
To
it
me-
more of a different.
yeah,
Oh, I see,
yeah.
because it's about the margin as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
how it works?
And
Got it.
this is all like advanced level thinking. You don't need
In
to
the
be on
moment,
this.
I would have still chosen to do it the way I did
Yeah,
because I really
yeah,
wanted to succeed. But I understand what you're saying.
That's one of the things with Burning Wheel. Like you want to balance, like, oh, like I could
Success with
get
failure,
more of
basically.
this,
Yeah.
but then like I'm risking the resolution of this thing
Yeah.
here. Like which one do I
Yeah.
want more?
It's an
Okay.
extreme risk reward
Yeah.
system, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, you shot all the observers, which is good for Catla because she doesn't need to roll for stealthy, which she has none. And basically what happens is she strides into Greyglade, and because she is dressed up in this like corroded armor, like no one bats an eye. She looks very much like the other one that you saw, and she walks up to a group of these individuals. And now that you're like following her progress from your like perch somewhere in the swamp, Tyrell is looking like okay, it's about to kick off, and you follow her. She goes to talk to some of these swordsmen, and you do note, because they're sort of now gathered around this cooking fire. They look kind of with, of course, the lighting will affect this, but they look kind of sallow. Like they don't look like, oh, I'm a zombie or anything, but they look like afflicted somehow.
They could be healthier.
Yeah, they could be healthier. They're gaunt. They're kind of sickly looking. Not really too much unlike Catla, but Catla is like clearly like this person has bad things going on. But Catla walks up to some of these, like talks to some of them, and then starts walking away from them and tosses one of the leather ball that she has into the cooking fire as she like walks backwards and flings it there, and it goes sort of brief column of fire, like just covering this entire platform in fire. And she's basically like wrapped one hand around a rope bridge, like handhold, and like swings back to a different
is she a knight or a pirate? I haven't decided now.
But she doesn't do it smoothly. She's just like taking a hold and then like smashes against a tree on the other side, because the blast took out the platform. And
that was almost smooth.
And the six so the swordsmen cooking there, and she like starts climbing up the broken bridge now. So that's what's happening with Catla right now. And Glarver, you heard that blast. You saw it go off.
As soon as the blast goes off, I start heading towards the tower. Obviously, we're in swampland, so as I'm moving, I'm going to be using the bottom of my shield to just like check the ground, like just ahead of me. So I'm trying to move as quickly as I can, but I'm not full bore running because I don't want to be like, I've nearly made it to the tower.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be moving as quick as I can, but like every time I sort of like take a couple of steps, I'll just sort of like tap it with the bottom of my shield to make sure it's solid enough for me to put my feet on, and I'll be sort of like trying to like jink my way towards the tower.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll be able to make that. Eyes are elsewhere. Currently, Catla has distracted people in the Greyglade.
Okay, so as I get to the tower, my plan is to use my Reason of Old Stone.
To
and basically it's an obstacle one to determine the age of the stone.
Right.
So I'm hoping that'd be sort of like around the area I'm doing. So I'm just trying to find like what's the oldest and like weakest place of the stone.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Yep. Go ahead and do that. Okay. And the fail condition here, this is a part of the process. So if you fail, there's going to be the enemy will be upon thee.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it would have taken you enough time for them to clock that someone's there.
Okay, so I'm going to spend a persona point on this to put an extra dice in.
I was going to say, is there because obviously I finished my action, but is that like, are we all within the same? Is it like we're all within the same like round, or is there something I can do? Because I obviously know that was the signal. Yeah. Is there something I can do to sort of like watch and like maybe assist him if someone was kind of like try to like see him?
I'm gonna like. You could help if things went wrong, but
that's what I'm saying.
Of course afterwards. Like it's not right now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just want to make sure I get. if he's suddenly got to get mobbed, I want to be like,
yeah, and you'll be able to do that, but it's you won't be able to prevent that from actually coming to
cool.
to the fore. But you can help with the aftermath of that for sure.
Now, my reason of old stone, that's obviously a magic related skill.
Yes.
So I believe you can only fork other magic skills into that. Is that correct?
It will list. It usually gives suggestions.
It'll list it in the skill itself.
Yeah, especially for the sorcerer skills, they don't get a lot of fork stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I suppose is the downside to that. They're powerful, but they can't really be.
Yeah, and the forks that you get are like highly specific for the very thing.
It doesn't list anything, so I'm going to assume no. Just for ease. Okay, so I'll make my reason of old stone. It's +1 dice.
Like if you had, for example, stone wise, that would be a thing to put in here. But there we go. So you've located the place where clearly it's like this, and this is actually, you find out some other stuff as well. Like you can see from the stones that the water has been here for a while. Like this isn't a new swamp by any means. It's been like this for at least maybe a couple centuries, you think. You've found a place where the water, the environmental effects have corroded the stones enough that you think this would be like a structural weak point. So
the way I imagine the sort of reason of old stone works is it's almost like me in a sort of very low tone, almost like talking to the stone. And I'm sort of saying like, like the purpose, the once great purpose of the tower has been like corrupted, and the corruption needs to be like cut out. And even though the tower itself will not exist, like the stone that makes the tower will survive and may once again be like rebuilt to noble purpose. But first, this sort of like this cancer that's infected its purpose has to be like cut out of the root.
Yeah, and the stone. This is what the skill does. You speak to the stone, and the stone helps you find your way, which is that's something. You can talk to stones, and they will help you. So yeah, you found the structural weak point. Now the next bit is, of course, you doing the big boom, I suppose.
Yep. I've got to admit, I don't have any like mad sapper skills or anything like that, or any like explosive wise or anything like that. Yep. So my plan is pretty much, she was like, "Oh, like this, but be a distance away."
Yeah.
So my plan is pretty much, there's the little crack or whatever, the little flaw in the stone. Yep. My plan is pretty much as gently as I can, like thumb the explosive into the crack. Then, as I say, pretty much across the rest of the stone, sort of pour some of my dwarven like spirit, effectively, like across the stone, like a little trail. So sort of like around the tower. Then once I'm like, and I'm pretty much guessing, once I'm like, this is probably far enough away, not sure because I've not seen it go off, but I've heard the explosion from her, so based roughly on like how loud it was, I'm like, it's probably about this fucking big.
So I'm gonna say, because you're making a trail on a non-solid surface.
Well, no, I'm making the trail on the stone.
Right. Yeah. So you're,
because I'm hoping the stone will assist me.
Yes. So, right, I got you now. Okay, so I'm gonna say you can make that with one use of your dwarven incendiary liquid, also known as dwarven beer.
Done and done.
So you spend that, and it's gonna burn because this stuff is.
I've tasted it. I know that stuff's going to burn.
Ariel's had it. It's rocket fuel.
It's going to go. So yeah, you're all set to go. You have your flint and.
I'm not saying a little part of me doesn't die with the fact I'm having to
you're burning it.
I'm having to burn priceless dwarven spirit. Well, priceless to me.
It's for a good cause.
But yeah, as he says, it's like it's bringing these oath breakers to justice, and I'm like, I'm sure the brewmaster who made it would be delighted to know that it was being used in this way in support of good, honest dwarven values. That's what I'm going to tell myself as I shed a single manly tear. And then I'm going to
Lots of tears been shed the last couple sessions between the two of us.
Then I'm going to get the flint and steel out and like basically light it, and then once I've lit it again, so it's still testing the swamp in front of me, I'm going to try and like make my way to a distance.
Yep. And this is where
basically hunker down behind some vegetation or some other stone for like cover.
Mm-hmm.
With like shield over my head.
You don't have this. Yeah, yeah. Just take cover. You don't have the skill to use the bomb, which is fine. We're gonna roll for it because that's what you do with the bombs. However, you're not gonna blow yourself up. That's not what I had in mind for the failure. So there's not that. It's gonna be a different thing. So I'm just gonna find. I meant to have this bookmarked, but lo and behold, time did not allow for it. Okay, here we go. Fire bombs. Okay. Right. So it's rooted in perception and agility. So let's go on your sheet here, Glarvir, and let's go to skills being learned. We're going to add fire bombs. And we're going to have 2 roots. It's perception and agility. Okay. So, right. You should now have the firebomb skill at the very bottom of this.
Yeah,
page.
I can see it.
And you can press the die button, and it should do all that we need it to.
Okay, can I spend a persona point on this to give me an extra dice?
You most certainly can, yes.
Splendid.
I don't like your candy, man. That's what I did last session. You haven't done that.
So
they go.
Right, so incendiary bomb is an obstacle 4. Now this is going to be very difficult because you don't have the skill.
Yeah, I'm expecting. You know. I would like to know, can I potentially make an argument for forking my campaign wise into it?
Usually yes, but you don't have a skill to fork into. That's the trick here. But you're on the right track. Once you have this, you could, because military applications of bombs would be something you would know.
Okay, obstacle 4, there we go.
Yeah, and then we'll see how it goes. The sheet should do the work for us. Yeah, it did. So it turns into obstacle 8 because you don't have the skill yet. And I've neglected to mention the thing that I had in mind, which I alluded to. So yeah, the firebomb goes off. It goes off in the structural weak point, and the tower basically, in the span of 30 seconds, loses half of it. Like it just like crumbles into the swamp. Like the back half of the tower just in a shower of ancient stone, it goes down. However, as you're laying down there, like small rocks pinging off your shield, Glarvir, like tung, tung, tung. But you can see the sort of like, actually, yeah, because it's not only your dwarven booze, but also the incendiary itself. It looks like the swamp is burning now. Like it's the stuff on top of the swamp is on fire, and it looks like there's a sort of like sea of flame at the base of the tower now. And
I think I'm going to be like, God damn, I love dwarven spirits.
And Glarvir, from behind you, in the distance, somewhere in the dark of the swamp, you hear a very similar kind of like shrill shrieking that you heard in Vorbeck previously.
Yeah, that's what obviously I'm like axe and shield in hand, so I'm like.
Yeah. I have 2 questions off the back of that.
Yes. Now you've seen this happen now, and you're.
I'm
the tower is coming down.
I'm like, well done, you beautiful dwarven bastard. But as I my eyes get acclimated to the sudden bright light of the glade, I have 2 questions. I heard the sound, obviously.
Yes. The shriek pierces the night.
First thing, I'm going to do a quick one of these. Do I see anything approaching? Because obviously,
in the distance behind Glarvir, where you think Glarvir is, because like Glarvir is taking, like you think that's where he ran. In the distance, you can see from the dark, and you can see it because it's dark. There's 2 sort of lynx-like glows of eyes
Just two.
Yeah, 2 eyes, and about like 8 feet from the ground.
Sure. So similar to the creature we encountered in.
Something rather large is headed this way.
Second question. Now that he's blown the tower, have the occupants inside been exposed?
So I'll make a roll.
I want to do a thing if I can. Then
I'll make just a fortune roll for.
Okay.
But so Glarvir, let's actually we neglected to discuss your intent in detail. But your intent was to bring down the tower.
Yes.
But did you try to do something else with it as well, like achieve like specific results?
My intent was to bring down the tower to, as we said earlier, to like disorientate the people who were left inside, because they'd be like picking themselves out of the rubble, and obviously we're hoping Esagar, but just generally everyone inside would be disorientated, so we could take them on a bit easier.
But really want it to be Esagar, though. Really want it to be Esagar.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna make basically just a die of fate roll, which is a d6, and we're gonna see what happens. So this is Esagar. Esagar's not doing great. Esagar was affected by your intent, which is to say Esagar is disoriented now. Esagar doesn't know why half of his tower is gone.
Can I see Esagar from where I am?
We'll not currently, because but you know that he's in there. You've seen glimpses of what looks like a sort of like elderly chieftain type figure in
I want to shoot him between the eyes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
You might try. It will be difficult from the distance and the dust in the air. But the knight is doing fine. So, and then I'll make a thing for everyone else in the tower. They're doing badly. Okay. There's a number of corpses, Glarvir. You realize now that you're basically like action mode, like jumping up from the swamp. You see there's bodies in the pile of rocks that used to be half the tower. And you see the knight is standing before the tower now, sword in hand, looking around to see like where's the enemy coming from. And you can see on the sort of, I guess it's not that much of a distance anymore because it's been a bit of time. Catla has started to make her way towards the tower by way of, the actual bridges and platforms of the city. And you can see her as you watch, Terrell, like you survey the scene. Catla like fights off a couple of people who come at her with knives, and she basically just boots some of them off the bridges, and she gets to one of the platforms, and there's a pair of swordsmen who draw their swords and start a fight with her. And her opening move is to pull a dagger, which you've seen her have but not use at all before. And in the sort of glittering firelight now, because everything's on fire here currently in the Grey Glade,
burning this town down basically.
It's a dagger made from flint, and what she does is it's a fluid motion of basically doing this, and she just drags the flint across the sword, and it just lights up the whole length of it, the hand and a half sword, and she secrets away the flint dagger and goes to town, just big swipes on these sword guys who are they're using one-handed short swords, and they're having a hell of a time because Catla
really wish they had shields right about now.
So Catla is basically beating them back, just walking forwards and just swiping them further back with every strike. So Catla's busy doing that right now in the middle of Grey Glade.
She's doing her job.
Yeah, and the knight at the front of the tower has sort of clocked that, of course, because Catla kind of made an entrance with the fact that she lit her sword on fire. So that's the situation. You think Esagar is still in the tower somewhere, but there's a lot of dust flying about currently there, and flames as well. Okay. And you know where the knight is, you know where Catla is, you know where Glarvir is, and you know that behind Glarvir is something big.
Okay.
And this is the moment, if you wanted to do something now, you can, because you were sort of observing this.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Glarvir is going to probably want to do something very soon as well.
No. So, okay, so I have a question before I kind of make a intention, action statement here. So we set up. So obviously, you're aware on my sheet, I'm interested in gaining the tactics. Skill. We didn't make an actual roll for it earlier, so I'm not sure if I need to try to do that now, or because obviously we discussed the plan earlier, and I didn't bring it up then. But this is another opportunity where it's going to affect my decision whether I attempt to sort of kind of make the battlefield a little less fucked for us in about 2 seconds, or if I just go in.
Right. So
you know what I'm saying? Like.
So what would that look like?
So if I were to attempt to use my tactical background, I would attempt to probably negotiate the field and to kind of regroup probably with Glarvier and then probably redirect him, because obviously the knight's about to kind of hammer into Catla. He could probably pincer her between him and her, any swordsman and the knight, but because they're both heavily armored, whereas I'm not. So like I can take care of Esagar, and I can probably give that lynx giant thing in the forest to run for its money, because I'm not worried about those two things. I'm worried about the knights and the swordsmen. So if I were to sort of burst to the field to kind of redirect Glarvier and kind of give him sort of combat instruction, I think that's sort of what I'm thinking about would be me using the tactics. Otherwise, I'll just do what I'm going to do, which is murder things from afar, I guess.
I suppose then we have to ask Glarvier, like, are you up for this sort of thing? Like, if Terrell,
I guess so.
Like comes bounding over and is like, we need to do X, Y, Z, and we need to do it now. Is Glarvier gonna, tag along?
Well, I think from where you're sort of situated, Terrell, obviously there's like giant undead thing coming at me. You'll already see that I'm basically like turning around with like my axe and my shield, basically ready to like come at me.
But I think the idea then. So I think if I want to
big smile on my face,
because I do want to make this. I do want to begin developing this skill because it's really part of his character. I think that probably would be the most logical action. The other action would be a little more like leave everyone to their own fates, and that's not. I mean, I'm used to putting myself in danger for leadership positions when death's on the line, and I'm obviously used to being in command. So I think I would charge forward through the fire and the swamps and get to Glarvier. And
you might almost say, Terrell, I'm resigned to my fate.
Almost like you are. And I would think, I think I'd run up to him, taking that leadership instinct into account as well, and I would say to him, the giant and Esagar I shall manage, but Catla is about to be swamped up on this platform. I need you to come from behind and take some pressure off her from the knight that is approaching her. Can you do that, Glarvier? Can you do that for me? Can you be the hero of the story, Glarvier?
So what you're asking me to do is like break off from
your position, go up to and basically backstab the knight, pincer yourself.
Normally I would not do that because I'm well up for like fighting this undead thing.
Yeah, of course.
However, I have sworn an oath to protect my comrades.
You have.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly look up and like realistically, given my speed of movement and the fact they're up on platforms and stuff like that, what are the chances of me getting up there? Because like if it's like by the time I get up there, she's going to either be dead or have dealt with him. Then I'm like, I may as well fight the undead thing.
You could make it. We're
I'm assuming I would have factored that into my instructions, obviously, like because I could see all that unfolding.
It's a possibility. We would roll for that blatantly because this is important. This is the way we work, by the way, as well. Like you don't need to roll for making it across the swamp here once you're trying to blow the thing, because the important part is blowing the thing up. But now the important part is getting to Catla's aid. And that's why we're rolling, because it's important.
Because if it comes to some sort of speed or agility roll, it's not looking good for Glarvier, man. I'll tell you that for another.
Yeah, it's gonna be a speed roll, like if you want to get.
Because realistic, and obviously I'll say this to you, realistically, if you need someone to get up to where she is, you're gonna have more of a chance of getting there than I am.
Okay, so
I will hold this beast here.
I feel like this is a moment where I should be rolling potentially to attack the skill to be convincing him of my plan.
That's I was thinking more like by the like when you have sorted out what your plan is, then we execute the plan. You roll your tactics, and then we see what the end result of the.
Because I will say that Tyrell has entirely convinced me that someone needs to go up there, and I would be willing to do it. I'm just like, I don't think I can get up there in time.
All I'm going to say to him is I'm going to slap him on his heavy armor and shield and be like, armor, no armor, knight, armor.
Yes, the armor is also why I move more slowly.
I believe you can draw his attention once you get up there, but we're arguing and wasting time.
Yes, I know that. It's getting up there that's the issue.
Well, then you shouldn't be able to move on then.
Fine.
So Glarver is gonna make a run for the basically.
I believe in Glarver.
Okay, so make your tactics roll, and we'll see how your plan worked out.
Jesus, mother! Oh, my mouse is dying on me. Come on, mouse, wake up! It's time to do some work. All right, so just click the button, right?
So let's.
I already have it on my being learned.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna go to your sheet to look at this.
No help or advantages.
Tactics. Right. So. Yeah, you just roll the thing,
just hit the button.
and we're gonna oppose it with a static figure, I think. So a static obstacle, and it's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be the most tactical threat. Like they're not going to be. We're going to go with obstacle 3. I was gonna go 4, but 3 is better because there's very few people who are very good at tactics in the village, town rather, of Greagley. So obstacle 3.
Basically the ones that are probably are currently
they're a bit occupied.
Trying to kill Catla.
Yeah.
I have a question then. So in this situation, is it? I still want to try to succeed, don't I?
Depending on if you want to get your plan to work, basically that you're well positioned is the thing on the line here, I guess.
Gotcha. The positioning of everybody in the field, right?
Exactly. Basically, if you get this, Glarver is going to have a good, we're going to give Glarver bonuses for his get there and help thing, and you're going to get bonuses for your thing to do here.
And I will need those bonuses.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to lead to is, if I use persona, is there a realm of possibility where I can actually succeed at the role? Because obviously I'll get the skill once I use it. Yeah. But is there a realm possibility where I actually can succeed, or is it?
It's going to turn into an obstacle 6. You have 7 dice. You can succeed, especially if you toss a couple of persona on there.
Yeah, I feel like this is a big moment. So
you could make it, but you probably have to put in like Artha of different varieties.
I have 3 persona, so I'm guessing. I guess
do you have any fate to Arthur as well?
I have 4 of those, but that comes after the roll.
I'll say if you get any 6s as well, you can obviously spend them as well.
Yeah. But you want more dice in your pool to get more 6s
to get the 6s as well. Yeah.
Okay.
True.
I feel like this is a big moment. I'm going to put 2 persona in there. Can I do that? I can do that, right?
Yes. You can put up to 3 into one single roll.
Oh well, I only have 3, and I want to keep 1 as an emergency. So
for the I don't want to die.
Yeah. That's for the shit moments. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Obstacle 3, you said, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Let's see how badly this is. Come on.
And by the way, no 6s either. Oh no. Okay. So what that means is your position is going to be worse now, but we'll get to that. So you spent. Both of you have spent something on skills you don't have yet, and that means you put it into the attribute that you're using to roll for it. So you can put down 2 persona for your will there, Tyrell, because you use 2 persona points to roll this.
Oh, I see what you're saying, right?
And you don't have the shade. Yeah, you don't have tactics, so it goes into the will. So you can put down 2 persona for your will. Same goes to Glarver with the fire bombs for the 1 die, and you can put that into you can put 1 persona spent on either agility or perception, your pick. Right, cool. So again, I'm always so tied up in figuring out what you guys want to do that we never get to the point where I'm also we need to talk about the failure state. before we roll. But
yeah,
the failure state here is
there any way? I was going to ask about that. Is there any way for me for it to fall on me?
Yeah, primarily it would be like the sort of wording in the text of Burning Wheel is like,
I'm the failure here,
mostly because you didn't get help from Glarver is the very strong mechanical thing here. So the fallout is mainly on you because you didn't have anyone else involved in the roll.
That's fine.
So what this means though is Glarver doesn't get help from your plan. So Glarver is on his own doing his own thing.
That's fine.
But you're gonna be in a position whereby
that falls into my instinct anyway. So.
Yeah, I think what happens is like you had this plan of like, I'm gonna hold this, and
I was gonna try to do some
I'm
fine maneuvering, but I think fine maneuvering's out now.
Yeah, I'm gonna manage this situation.
Yeah,
you go and manage that one because that way we are optimally positioned. Glarver is headed off, and we're gonna roll for that soon. Like, does he get there in time?
Right.
And now you're in the swamp. Like, right, let's do this. And then the massive
calamity giant is already on me.
Has jumped right next to you, bats you with a backlash. You just go flying across the swamp, and you just tumble into the muck. Like, the world goes dark for a moment as you just
so undignified.
And there's you feel the pounding in the earth and the water as the hulking corpse lopes after you, and you're somewhere or like beyond.
My response to that will be a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna be under the Grey Glade, somewhere in the swamp, like just flailing around in the muck until it's your go, and the big corpse is charging at you as you eventually get your bearings.
So Glarver gets for arguing with me. What I get for Glarver arguing with me.
Yeah. So Glarver, you're making your way up, and it is possible to do it, but it seems like a very long run. So
what I would like to suggest is, because that they're on the walkways, the knight and Catla, right?
Yeah.
And my orders were like distract the knight, basically.
Yeah, basically like, do something to help. Yeah, like Catla, because Catla's outnumbered.
So what I'm aiming to do, obviously, tell me if this isn't possible.
Yeah.
I'm like, even if I do make it up to that platform they're on, I'm going to be like absolutely like knackered by the time I get up there, and I'm not going to be able to put on much of a fight. So what my aim is going to be is, my current plan is, I'm thinking get on a platform underneath where they are. Then I'm going to take a big old swig of my dwarven spirit. I'm going to like light something, and then I'm basically going to spray burning spirit onto the bottom of the platform under where the dude is, trying to weaken it, rather than like get up level with him, because hopefully that'll still distract him and I don't have to get on his level. Right. And if he does fall down to me and I get to clobber him, happy days.
So what is your intent? Because I asked this because this is, again, one more sort of proficiency moment for us. You could state, if you wanted to, I want to do the thing that you're just described in order to make the knight fall down. Like you could say that if you wanted to.
My intent is to like disrupt the bridge, so as it's like burning and he's like having to like adjust himself and like check his balance and whatever, is just to like throw him off balance so Catla can come in and do what she does best.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. So the only thing we need to roll for here is, are you quick enough to do it? So we're going with the speed. The plan is sound, however, do we make it in time?
Okay. I would like to know, can I fork in any of my booze-related skills?
No, because speed is a stat.
It's worth a try, man.
Yeah, it is absolutely the correct thing to do. You can put in Artha if you want to.
Oh yeah, I'm blatantly throwing a persona in there.
That worked so well for me.
So it's just a straight speed roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna say obstacle 2 for it. Like it's not a huge thing, but it's something. And if you fail, no, you don't. So that's fine. And it was obstacle 1 in the roll, so we need. It doesn't matter because you beat it anyway. But you get.
I'm sure I put 2 in.
I think you probably get like a difficult one. You should check the chart for it because it's against 2 instead of 1.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you get the right kind of thing.
And I'll
that
note
you're
down
into.
a spell persona on it as well.
Yeah, you make it there, and you you spew. I guess we're because you're using quite a bit. I guess we're saying you use one more use of your dwarven nog, but you're getting good use of it, like the flamethrower tricks. Like
I'm doing everything possible to do that except drinking it. Is basically
And this is great sacrifice for the cause, right? Because you don't get nog just anywhere. So
no, I know, man. But I've got to protect my comrades. I swore an oath.
And if I can do it by my beer or by my axe,
by whatever means and whatever breath is left in my dwarven body.
You spew the dwarven spirit, and it lights up, and it burns the platform that Knight has walked onto, basically issuing a challenge to Catla. And as Catla is charging in to get the duel started, the platform gives away, and the knight plummets into the swamp underneath and disappears. Catla raises an arm your direction, Glarvir, and just signify power.
I'll give it the dwarven raised fist.
Yeah. And she heads back because she needs to find a different route now because the platform is gone. Yep. So she's trying to make towards the tower, but the two routes now are cut off, so she's getting a different one now. Okay, so that's what's happening there. Tyrell, what's up with you? You've got this hulking corpse loping towards you. You're covered in swamp. What do you do?
Well, I'm a little irritated now that he's gotten my clothes mucky and my armor is going to need some servicing after this.
Yep.
However, I have no interest in going into a melee with this particular creature. So what I would prefer to do is, as we would call it in the modern times, run and gun. I would like to keep as far away from it as possible while shooting it as much as possible.
Right. Okay. Two options come to mind here, which I will highlight because of the mechanical significance there.
Okay.
Your bow, always a good choice for this kind of role. Second role we could do is speed, because you're trying to run away. And you have a very nice stride because of your elvenness and your traits.
I get a +1 or whatever it was.
Yeah, if you have the higher stride, you'll get an additional die for your speed there. So depending on what do you want to go for. Of course, you don't know the speed of this thing, but
clearly it can gate and jump really fast. So I'm not sure if I guess from the perception of what I've seen and observed already in the split second I have to make this choice in game, I think probably would just realize that I might not be able to keep it at distance for very long.
Yeah, so you need to shoot it.
I'm pretty fast, but I got a stride of 8. So but it seems to be at or
it is quite
even
quick.
Above that.
Same was for the one of these in Warbeck as well. Very quick with the movements.
I guess my question would become, are you able to fork speed into a roll?
No. Speed is a stat.
It's a pure stat, right? That's what you mentioned.
Yep.
So I mean, I guess in this situation, just kind of quick gander. Yeah, I don't think there's anything, if I'm going to run and gun it, other than just either using pure speed or pure bow, basically, at this stage. So I'm going to go bow and see where that takes us.
Do it.
So
your intent is to
shoot the fuck out of it until it's dead.
Yep, kill it.
I mean, I want it dead. That's part of the goal anyway. It's just not going off quite as smoothly as I had intended. But yes, shooting it dead is the goal with the bow. So obstacle? Oh no, I'm sorry, 1, and then you'll.
It's gonna oppose you.
Gonna oppose me,
with its speed, I think. Or no, it's gonna try and attack you with the.
I guess who dies first, basically.
It's gonna be. It's the intent that it has is.
What the fuck?
You've got a 6 there.
I do got a 6 though, so I am definitely gonna be. I'm definitely gonna. Use that.
let me roll as soon as I find my sheet, which I've misplaced. Here we go.
Jesus,
God. It's gonna savage attack, much as one of these did in Vorbeck.
The problem: the elves don't have gods to pray to.
Okay, here we go. So it's gonna roll savage attack.
Keep the obstacle at 1 for this, obviously, right? When you do these rerolls, 1 dice.
Yeah. Oh, it's at 4. You're
I had
you're
a
at 3.
I had
It's
a
at 4.
3. So, question: is there anything else that can be done at this stage?
Not right now because it's got 1 more than you do, and you
Got it.
you got all you wanted to.
Okay.
With the
Yeah. I see. Yeah, I can see.
And put down the Artha for your the reroll for your bow as well.
Oh,
so you can mark down the fate points spent on that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
I don't think we've done that up until this session, so
we
lost opportunities.
Yeah.
Essentially at this stage.
But we'll try and figure that out after the session if we can recall. But there's a lot that we're all learning here as we go.
I've never played the system before, so
and there's quite a bit to,
and the book is very
keep in mind. Dense.
Dense is a word for it. Yeah.
Let's figure this out. So once again, I didn't quite reach the intent of the your foe here, but its intent is to basically pin you down. So what is happening is you run backwards or to the side, stride basically to the side, and you're shooting it. You hit it with a couple of arrows, and it makes a tiger leap, and it just like as you're going this way, it catches you and it slams you with both big hands, and just like you go under again. So basically, your situation is it's trying to hold you down, and presumably do something gruesome as we go along. But for now, it's basically it's holding you down, and you're under the water, and it's bad times.
So I'm actually under the water at the moment.
Yeah, it's pushing you into the ground because it like a tiger leap, and it catches you. It pushes you down with its body weight as it sort of like rises up from the.
I have an idea of what we're going to need to do to get out of that, but we'll go.
But once again, plunged into the darkness of the swamp.
And I'm going to say as I go under the water, this is not my.
Okay, Glarvir, what is up? You can hear the shrieking of this big corpse somewhere below you, and you can see Catla circling around, lopping off some heads here and there as she goes.
Okay, Catla's fine. So presumably when I look over in the direction of where I know Tyrael was, because that's where I came from, I can see that he's like being held under by this huge undead thing.
You don't see Tyrael, but there's a shrieking giant corpse.
Yeah, and if he's got his arms in the water and there's bubbles coming
in the water,
I'm pretty sure I know where he is. So what I'm going to do at this point, because obviously it's threatening one of my companions, so that will not stand. And my basic plan is I'm going to run towards it, and using like a variant of the sort of like unit shield based sort of shield bash tactics that like the old dwarven units would have used when I was on campaign. My plan is literally just to like run into it, sort of like basically like jumping over where I think Tyrael is, where it's got its hands, smash into it with my shield and my full body weight, the intent being to force it backwards off him so that he can
to free Tyrael.
Basically. You're going to be the fastest dwarf in the world after this session.
That's right.
Let's go. You can make a roll. I'm going to oppose it with the power, which is the strength.
I would like to use my shield skill because I'm.
Okay, so for shield it's not an actual skill. You don't need to roll for it.
It just means I can use it properly.
It's what they call a training skill.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're free to use something else.
Like power.
And we can have an advantage for you because you're doing basically like a shield charge. So you're using the shield as kind of like your instrument for this thing. Like it will help you in this, but the shield skill itself isn't like a real skill as such. It's a permission thing.
Really.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, in which case I'll go for my power then.
Yeah. Okay, so it's going to be a power against power in in the Octagon.
I'll spend a persona because it's my boy there getting locked around.
Right. So let me find the power for this.
And I presume it's difficulty 1, and it's going to oppose.
Yeah, difficulty 1 because we're opposing. Yep.
Look at that, four successes. Oh, and there's a 6. I'm going to put a fate into it. Stick a fate in
there. We need them in this session, I'm noticing.
Yep. Also, for your bow, Jury, I'm not sure if 6 dice against 4 successes, like 6 against 4.
What is? I don't know what the number on that would be.
Yeah, let me. Let's get this open. Where is it? Here we go. 6 dice. It's a routine still. Yep.
Nope, yeah, I think I was reading that chart, not entirely right myself. So I don't know.
Yes, it's just 4 successes for me.
Yep. Yeah, just 4. Okay, here we go. It's gonna. I was gonna. No, I don't need to do anything with that. So, power. I've got power selected, right? Yeah, power, and then just roll the thing. 1 obstacle. Here we go. 2.
Oh,
right. So you come barreling in to this. It's still like in the moment of like, oh, I'm standing on top of this person soon, and you come in from the side, just smashing into it using your shield.
Unhand them, you obscenity!
And it goes like topples to the side, doesn't fly anywhere because it has massive body weight compared to you, but it like whoa. Goes to the side, splashes into the swamp. Tyrell, you're freed, and yeah.
So it's on the ground now.
Yeah, it's like splayed on the ground.
So what I want to do is, and I'll just leave my bow where it is on the ground. I'm just gonna. My intention here is this. I'm going to pull my sword, leap onto it, and stab it.
Stab it to death, presumably.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And
here's a question now.
Yes.
So this is where we come into that funny mechanical space that we've been dealing with all evening.
Yep.
I have a sword skill of 5. It's again, like my bow, pretty hard to like update at this stage.
Yep.
I have a power though of 4.
Yep.
Which is still pretty tough for me to improve, but because it's a lower dice pool, it is probably more likely to net, if I succeed, a difficult or challenging success, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, although I do want to kill this thing, would it be perhaps advantageous to try to do it with just pure power? Because again, I basically, in the way I'm describing in the scene, there's no room for finesse really. Like I'm not finessing him to death with my sword. I'm ramming it into his chest essentially.
The thing
narratively,
here is,
it feels power also would apply better.
The thing here is you can pick this. So you can use your sword if you're using your sword. If you use your sword, you're probably not using your power, because your power would sort of indicate you're going in and like just basically brute force.
Oh, I see. Okay,
like
cool.
Cool. And you don't need tools at that point. Like you don't need the sword to use your power. Like if you want to just punch it to death, you just use your power thing.
I'd rather not try to punch it to death,
so basically what I'm saying is the sword is going to do the work for you.
I'll stick with the sword then.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So you opposed roll, so just use 1 obstacle.
Yeah, just 1, because it's going to resist you.
That's fine. I mean, presumably it doesn't want to get stabbed.
You're going to get, by the way, a bonus on this because it's on the ground. Glarver, if you want to help with this, you can. If you have something you could give to Tyrell to help.
See, the only thing I've really got to like bring to this party is an axe. I guess I can't fork my axe skill into it.
You can help with, like, if you want to do like a concerted attack with Tyrell, you could.
Yeah, in which case I'll give him one of my axe dice then. Yeah, as I'll just join in like hacking at
now.
This thing.
Yeah, and then this ties Glarver into the resolution of this thing. So if you guys fail, you both fail this, and then
there's
shit happens.
Yeah. Just kind of quick glance at my. I don't think there's any real there's any real argument for any other forking from me. Never really did get a chance to use my Song of Sword, which I probably should have done before we went into battle. I'll remember that for next time though. So that's 1. I don't have really anything to spend right now. hit this. This is fucking dog shit. Okay, very good.
Okay, 1-6 though, so we'll see about that.
Yeah. Do I have to do that now, or can I wait till you
No,
roll?
you can wait. You can wait.
I'm gonna wait.
So,
in case you roll worse than I did.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible because the unfortunate thing for
Oh, I'm sorry. I also didn't add in that dice for it being on the floor. I apologize. Can I
you can put one more.
just roll it?
Just do a d6.
I'll do a roll d6, right? So how is slash roll d6? Is that how it's done in this?
Yeah. Slash. Yeah. So
So
one
it's
more.
a 4. Okay, cool. Sorry about that.
So
3.
Three successes here.
Yeah.
So right. It has a very high speed.
Yeah,
However,
I know it does.
However, its unfortunate situation is not only is it on the ground, but it is rolling a stat against your skill, and that's not something you want to do if you want to succeed. So,
is there a difference to make that?
Yeah, it is. I was operating on instinct, but now I'm doubting myself. So what I am thinking is you basically have to it's double. So it has to be twice as good as you are.
So 6, in other words, basically.
Yeah, it needs to get a lot of good shit on this roll. So it's gonna roll now, and we'll see what happens.
Very close, though, right?
It's almost there. And if this was a more important person, I would absolutely put in the fate point and re-roll those 3 6s and
right, yeah,
get you guys. But this thing doesn't have Artha points, so
fuck it.
you swarm the thing. Glarver comes in with the axe, following the shield tackle. Tyrell, you do your thing. You stab it to death, and Glarver is hacking as you go. So you put this thing down. It shrieks into the swamp water as you put it down.
And but it eventually stops, I'm presuming.
Yeah, it does. It does stop. And you're both now just all splashed all over with the swamp water. Looking around. Greyglade is on fire. Different places are burning. You can see Catla sort of silhouetted against, because like one of the fires is at the very start of the town, and now it's behind Catla, so you can see Catla very clearly. She's fencing with a couple of swordsmen in Greyglade, and you can also see surrounded by villagers, townspeople of various degrees of human movement. You can see a very chieftain of the village approaching Catla, and as you sort of clock this situation, that the chief is being backed up by, let's say, like 24 townspeople, and is walking forwards, some kind of scepter-like thing in hand, and sort of raising that up. And Catla stumbles and it's like clearly having difficulties fending off these swordsmen. Still, like, she has her plate mail, like she's not getting chopped to bits, but she's getting hits because she can't defend herself that well anymore. Something the chief is doing is fucking Catla.
I'm gonna turn to Tyrell and I'm gonna say, use your bow, shoot the chief. I'm going to go and reinforce Catla, and then without waiting for an answer, I'm just going to start heading in that direction.
Okay. So I guess here we go. Tyrell, Glarver is going to run there, but the arrow travels faster. So, but
I'm just going to take a shot at Esagar. I mean, I only care about killing him, really. So,
yeah, please.
Boom. Okay, since there is no time for pithiness, we will just simply shoot. All right, so bow. And okay, nothing really there. I really want him dead, so I'll spend my last persona on this to get another dice. Because I do want him dead. Against the 1, right?
He's not gonna resist. I was gonna say obstacle 3, because it's 1, but it's +2 because there's people milling about.
Yeah, sure. So I got a 2 against your 3. However, I did get a 6.
Yeah, you did get a 6. So here's hoping.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna try that. And it hasn't worked at all this evening, so we're gonna hope that it does.
Yep.
It
does. Yes! It does. So yeah, indeed. The chieftain is walking forwards. These townspeople following it.
I hope.
Right, like waving this scepter around, probably doing something, but you can't hear that shit.
Some sort of sorcery.
And Catla is just like, seems like wildly, like not in control of her faculties, and just like flailing with these parries. And you line up the shot, and several times you don't shoot because there's like a head comes into the. It's like
I wait for my moment.
Damn it! And this is because you would have failed without your Artha expenditure. So you're like, God, please just give me the. And then
very just like, come on.
Yeah. And Glarvir, above you, there's the whistling of an elven arrow. It strikes through, hits Esagar in the back of the head, back of the neck, and the chieftain disappears from view. Like we don't see him anymore. Right, Glarvir, what's up? You were running.
My plan's just to carry on running forward and then like smash into the people who Catla's fighting, just to like reinforce her position.
Yep. So you can do that. We don't need to roll for that. So you get up there. Hard roll for you on the. So you had 7 dice against obstacle 3. So I think that's routine.
That's routine still. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's routine for the. So
is it the margin of the number of dice rolled?
Yeah. There's. I'll get the thing on.
Because I know there's a chart for it, but I don't know if I interpreted the chart right. So.
Scroll up and then get to the beginning of skills, where your skills start to run.
Oh, on my sheet. Okay.
Yeah, on your sheet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm opening the test difficulty thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. So you can find.
I've been looking up in the book.
Yeah. So you can see your. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's 6 dice against 3, which is a routine for you. Yep.
Got it. I see what you mean. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So, Glarvir, you're up there. You're bashing these villagers about with your shield, making way. Catla is getting beat down by 2 of these swordsmen. You can basically punt one of them away. They're not expecting you to come up from essentially the back because
that's pretty much my plan. Because like I say, I'm trying to protect my comrades. So my plan is pretty much to force as many of them off her as I can to give her a chance to sort of like get herself together. Now Esagar's not doing his mojo with the staff, and give her a chance to recover, so we can both like side by side push forward and like push them back.
Yeah. So and you do. So you and Catla defeat the swordsmen quite handily now because you're basically flanking them from the back, and they did not expect that, so they lose.
Well, they call tactics.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get hit in the back. And well, Catla is sort of like it actually kind of hurts, the death grips she has on your shoulder as she's trying to like desperately stand up from whatever is afflicting her. And there's like a terrifying power in her, like just dragging herself up by your body.
I'll be like, come on, it's not your time yet. And I'll be trying to like, help her to her feet.
And you can hear her like panting under the helmet, and as if like she's hyperventilating. And the townsfolk are ceasing their assault because it's becoming slightly clear to them that there's the chief has actually gone down. Like someone's found that the chief is down and pointed it out to the rest, and they're sort of like stuck between like how and also like what are we doing now. So basically the situation, as far as anyone can see right now, is kind of frozen in the Grey Glade. Like there's no one's doing anything, but everyone's grasping their weapons. They're like daggers and spears and whatnot. The townsfolk have like rustled up, and like everyone's just like staring at each other. It's like, okay, so what do we do now? Tyrell.
Can I have, as after I've taken my shot, and then obviously after some of the melee had occurred, can I say that obviously I'm pretty quick? So can I say that I've gotten close enough to be within like range for Glarvier to hear me?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say up to Glarvier, I'm from the swamp. I'm like, Glarvier, offer them quarter, be the hero.
At which point I'm going to turn to them and with like the full force of either my ugly truth or intimidation. I'll let you be the judge. I'm going to turn to them and I'm going to say, since you may have been forced into breaking your oaths, I, Glarvier of Hammerhold, give you one last chance to lay down your weapons and surrender and face judgment. Otherwise, none of you will leave this swamp alive.
That is actually true.
Yeah, you pick like which one you're rolling. You can probably fork the other one into that, and let's see what happens.
Like it.
I'll go intimidation. Why not? Do you know what? I'm going to throw a persona point into it. I've still got one left after.
Can I give him like an encouraging word in the background and give him like
yeah.
And
if you have a skill you could put into this.
Shit, that's a good question. I'm going to start trying to develop persuasion, but I don't have it yet.
Yeah, so you can't do that if you don't have the skill yet.
Hold on.
I'm forking my ugly truth into my intimidation.
Yep.
Would this possibly fall under an etiquette situation in battle, like where it's like
surrender, like
like a surrender protocol. Okay. I have etiquette, so go ahead and take a bonus on that one.
So that's
I'll accept any consequences if it goes south. I'm
and the consequences are they won't back down,
and then they're gonna die.
It's going to be a case of you choosing then, and this is what will happen after this roll. So if you succeed, they will surrender, and then you do whatever you want. If you fail with this, you can't convince them, and they are incensed that you killed the chieftain, and maybe some fell power is on them, whatever. But you have only two options if you fail this: kill them all or leave.
So we have one option.
One option.
Yeah.
What is the obstacle?
Maybe we are warlike.
Obstacle is. Oh, that's a good point. Obstacle 2.
Okay.
Obstacle 2.
That's not that bad. We should have a pile of dice for this. I mean,
2 successes.
Yeah, they surrender. So there's a scene jump forward. You've captured, quote unquote, the remaining people of the Grey Glade. Some of them you think are probably dead, but whatever fell power has been invoked around these parts has them moving still. You've basically bound them all up with rope. There's plenty of rope in the village, so you've got them all tidied up. You've found the corpse of Esagar, arrow in the neck, dead on the ground. Glarvier.
So, quick question. Obviously, we've killed Esagar. He's lying there dead. So that probably well-crafted scepter he was using is probably just lying there.
It's it seems to be very much like a badge of office type deal. Like it's not a weapon at all. It's something to signify, like show your station. Like you present this to invoke authority, basically.
Well, obviously my greed is linked to basically a finely worked object.
Yeah, it is. It has the same kind of quality about it that the sword that you found in Warbeck does.
So remind me, what do I need to do to make a greed roll? Do I just roll it?
I forget, because everything's been so dank in the forest. You haven't had a lot of shiny objects.
Yeah, no, seriously. This is certainly not a loot-based adventure here.
Yeah, not in the swamp, is it?
No.
The loot is the honor and glory we gain, and perhaps this staff if I steal it.
Yeah. And maybe this guy's bling.
I mean, taken it into protected custody.
Yeah.
Well, we do want to take it anyway, because as Tyrell would point out to Glarvier as he's eyeing this thing up meaningfully, is that we did see Esagar provoking some sort of sorcery or mischief when he held this thing aloft. It might be good to show young Cameron when he returns.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I'm taking it. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that maybe
Cameron. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So steel roll, Glarvir. So that would be. Let me look at your sheet here.
So you can steal 7.
Yeah. So you roll your thing there. Obstacle 4 for you.
Okay, no advantage.
While he's rolling, can I ask a question? Yes. I might have missed this in the explosions and the fire. Did he ever kill the other knight?
No, the knight is nowhere to be seen now.
Because I would have clocked that right off. Like, that was the guy who saw me. I'm looking.
Yeah.
He was next on my list, next to Esagar.
Yeah,
I'm having it.
Oh. Let's see. So.
I mean, Tyriel's not going to try to stop him.
So this roll is called "She's Magnificent." So if this test, if she's magnificent is failed, the player chooses one of 2 reactions: either stand and drool or invoke I must have it. So basically, you're either like stunned, staring at this thing, or you're like, after all, why shouldn't I have this?
You know which one I'm going for.
Yeah, I know, John.
Yeah, we all know which one's.
It would be an heirloom of my house.
Yeah. So this reaction is, you go for it. So you must attempt to purchase, steal, barter, or kill for the object, person, place, or idea in question. Well, there's no opposition here, so you can swipe.
It.
You can you swipe this old High Kingdom scepter.
The only thing Tyrell wants to do with it is show it to Cameron to be examined. Yep. So that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So
cool beans.
No knight. He's gone.
Yep, he's gone.
Okay.
You looked around for him because you
did remember him. I definitely wanted him.
You did not find him. He is a tricksy one.
So after my massive disappointment and the fact that I'm covered in mud and very annoyed, I will still attempt polite interrogation because I do want to develop a new skill.
Yeah, interrogation, as it happens. Probably, because that's a skill.
There is a skill for that.
Yes.
I was going to go with persuasion, the gentle touch.
Interrogation is getting the thing that you want right now is interrogation. It gets you information.
Well, then that's what I want then. Okay.
And it is explicitly not torture.
Doing this talk, yeah.
Let it be known, torture does not give you information.
No, we know that.
Interrogation does. Yeah. Torture allows you to state what is true, and you get the other person to agree.
Yeah. Torture is about getting you
that's what happens.
Not about getting useful information.
Yeah.
Remind me,
interrogation is what we want.
Will?
Or... Oh, yes. More than likely, it's just pure will, because that's the social thing.
I just needed to set it in my being learned section. So, since we'll have some time, and I want to develop myself in this particular field of endeavor, I will attempt to gain. What I want to know specifically, if you're interested, Wheelmaster, is what I'm trying to get out of the captives is which way to the king.
Ah, okay. Yeah, sure.
I have a very specific goal in mind for the king.
It is obstacle 3. No, sorry, 2. 2.
Which then doubles.
To remember this. It doubles on automatically.
Just to give it a roll then. And these cannot be helped.
No, this is.
I know Glarvir has interrogation, I think.
Yeah, Glarvir could help with
or oratory intimidation.
His will.
Yeah,
he could help with his will if he wanted to. Now, what's the obstacle here? Sorry, what's the failure state here? Let's think about this.
That I fly off the handle and start murdering civilians.
The person you're interrogating bites his cyanide capsule and it's like
right.
Yeah, I think that's entirely true. So the ones that aren't
clearly
to your eye badly afflicted by whatever malady is here, they will be highly adversely affected to the point of some of them expiring as you interrogate them.
Neither here nor there.
By whatever, it's like something beyond your perception to know or understand.
And Glarvir, were you going to be insisting me with your will your mighty will on this endeavor?
Normally I would do. I think, however, I'm probably drooling over the stuff.
You're busy. Got it. Fair enough. Fair enough.
My precious.
Okay, so I don't have anything to really spend at this point unless I get 6s. You said a 2, right?
2. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And these people are, much as Catla mentioned,
Didn't roll. Hold on.
they do have markings of some kind of runic markings on their heads.
Well, if they're runic, that's our boys' department.
Yeah.
He can examine that when he's done fiddling with his staff. There we go. Finally. No 6s involved.
Nope.
Okay.
So,
well, it was a good effort. At least I get the interrogation skill on my sheet now, right?
So you try talk to some of these, and every single one that you talk to expires as you talk. The sort of it doesn't really like flare up or anything, but there's a sort of like a pulse of something beyond the skin, under the skin, as they talk to you, and they sort of, it's almost like they're having a stroke, and then there's blood like gushing from ears and eyes, and it's just
oh dear. Well, Catla, it seems like all the humans that I've tried to ask about the king and his current whereabouts have all expired. I suppose I should have Glavier get up here and examine these markings more closely. They seem to be runes, and he has a bit of a knowledge for that. Glavier, where are you when I need you? I've already lost half of these humans.
That was careless of you.
Like and lunatics, all of them. No, apparently the sorcery used by their king has made it so that they die upon interrogation. So they appear, these markings, and you're the expert here, not me, to be of a runic nature. Perhaps something you could examine and maybe tell us a bit more.
I'm perfectly happy to have a look. However, bear in mind that my knowledge is dwarven runes.
There may be similarities.
Very well, and I'll have a
language is language.
Yep. You take a look, and it's not a dwarven rune at all.
I'll say no. It's not something I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it's something that the humans do.
Well, perhaps we should at least, I don't know, replicate this marking, draw it or some such, and maybe Cameron will know something of it whenever he decides to rejoin us.
Now, if for example, Glavier, you've poked around.
I have eidetic memory anyway, so.
Yeah. So you've poked around with Esagar with the scepter and whatnot. You do note that Esagar has a quite intricate design on his head as well, on the skin. It looks like halfway between a tattoo and an actual like brand marking. Like you can't quite decide which one it is, and there's that as well.
I'll sort of like consign that to my memory, and then I'm going to indicate the body, since Catla said she wanted the skull and the spine. I'm just going to gesture to her and say, if you wish to claim your trophy, now would seem an opportune time, Catla.
Yeah, and Catla has retrieved a hand axe from one of the villagers, and fully armored, like clanks over, nods in your direction, and seems to be talking to herself as she like rips like Esagar's clothing off, and like the shirt just like and like presses with the gauntlet like where the bones are, and tests the hand axe and just like, this better be worth it, and starts like hacking the bones away from the spine.
While she's doing that, I'm going to turn to Glavier and whisper, so Glavier, what are we going to do with the rest of these humans?
Well, I would suggest we march them back to Lord Beric to face whatever punishment is appropriate for their situation.
A forced march with prisoners, and there's only 3 of us to guard them.
And in the back, you hear it's like, no, it's not desecration. He besmirched himself. You're not
This is-
capable of determining that. This is Catla
This
talking
Kyla
to
saying this to herself.
Yeah, talking to herself in a sort of quiet voice, but not whispering.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the wet thump of the axe hitting the corpse.
Also, Glavia, I don't know if you've noticed, but our not so alive friend is also possibly a little crazy.
Well, given that she's passed beyond death and is confined in this state of evil sorcery, I would be very much surprised if she was entirely well balanced.
And humans are always a little bit touchy, aren't they? Not quite so solid.
Indeed,
right.
they fear death far more than our people.
Well, we all know where we're going. I suppose the terror of the unknown is what drives them. All right, so you want to... Well, I suppose we should give her her due. She did exactly as we asked, and she has been nothing but astute and loyal thus far, so a forced march with prisoners back down south and then back up here again when we want to find this king, I suppose, yes?
Indeed, that would also allow us to pick up Cameron and return with whatever occult knowledge he possesses, which may be of great aid to us when we face the king, who will surely be of greater occult might than Esagar.
Well, we can hope. Or at least that some of those spirits he trucks with can give him such might. We also may be able to find some other assistance. If we're going to go after a king, well, we might not want an army, but we certainly want more than a handful of well-chosen men and women, yes?
Indeed, it will also allow us to, as we swore to do, update Lord Beric on the goings-on and fill in.
Yes, of course. We have technically, of course, done as we said we would. But I have the feeling that where we're going to need to go just so happen will correspond with this king in the north. I bet you a flagon of your best dwarven ale that is what will happen when we get back.
We do not make bets with our sacred drinks,
you
elven heathen.
I apologize for my breach of etiquette.
I'll bet you a tank of that foul human swill any day of the week.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough. The human swill it is then.
Indeed. We wouldn't use that to clean our tankards back in Hammerhold.
I have to admit, it is essentially vinegar.
Indeed.
For a chamber pot.
I mean, I tried to do my best to give them some tips and some pointers, but well,
they don't listen very well.
There's only so much you can do with these people.
Yeah, and in the back, the butcher's work continues with Catla just swinging the bloody axe.
Catla, dear, are you nearly over? We need to be away.
She clearly is gritting her teeth under the helmet and is ignoring you entirely, talking to herself. It's like, you swore I am not a butcher, and just continues doing the butchering.
She seems disturbed by what she's doing, yet she's the one who wanted the skull and the spine. I mean, if she has that much of trouble with it, it's just a body. I'll take care of it for her if she just asked.
Perhaps she's struggling to reconcile the situation she finds herself in.
I feel like she's struggling with a bit more than that, but who knows? Cameron might know.
Indeed, this sort of devilry is not really my forte.
And with that, I guess we can wrap the thing up in Greyglade. So we know that you want to take these people as basically a prison group.
Yes, we're gonna force march them down.
Yeah, but basically go back to Beric and be like, this is what happened, Beric. In addition to what we sent Cameron back with, here are the people we sort of
were able to recover. Yeah,
you know, punish them as you see fit. You were the one who they originally had fealty to, and they reneged on
at least some of them.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Esagar's dad. We've killed as many of his, although we think one of his people got away. Here's the deal with like this northern king. and basically find out like what he wants us to do next. Because if he's like,
well, no,
well,
what he wants to do next is give us the information.
Well, I was going to say
because
as far as I'm concerned, there, like we've done what we promised.
We've done our job. That's right.
We found out what was going on. We found out what happened to his people. We've already dealt with like half the problem for him.
Pretty much.
And we're like, here's the settlement we've cleared out. Here's the details. Like, make with the information.
Make with the payment.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did make that bet with you, Glarvier, so we'll see if it means if his information just happens to mean we have to go up north and just happen to have to deal with said king. A tankard of human swill, though.
Indeed.
So it's going to be a travel montage of you going back south from the Weald, and like one evening as you're setting down for a bit of a rest, Catla does come over and sort of get your attention, and says, having like she has this like bloody sack with her now with Esagar's by now flayed skull in it and the spine. She says, I would like to ask if you know of a place of works alchemical in the south.
I'm sorry, what?
She wants to know if we know where there's anywhere where they do like.
So I was composing. I apologize.
She wants to know whether there's anywhere we know that does alchemical works in the south.
Well, Barrack City probably has folks of that nature there. It's a very large trading hub for this region of land.
And
this is the place where we're going. Yes,
indeed,
absolutely.
And also, it's where our colleague Cameron is, and he's versed in all that sort of occult shenanigans. He might be able to
actually, if I'm not mistaken, Glarvier, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he is versed in at least the rudiments of the alchemical arts.
I don't know. I can't claim to understand him when he starts talking about his
Wheelmaster. Real quick off the top of my head, I can't remember if Matthew had gotten points in that or not. I know he got spirits and sorcery. I know he wanted the alchemy, but I don't remember if he got it or not.
Let's look. I'm not sure if he does.
I know he wanted it.
He does. I'm not sure if he would have talked about that, but it's something he can do.
Okay. Well, we're still just like, he's an.
I'm just assuming he can do it all, pretty much. Yeah. I think it's the gist of the way
he knows human magic.
Yes, yes.
Talk to Cameron.
Our friend Cameron will be your first port of call if you have need of that sort of work. Is that what the bag is for, shall I say?
And she is slow to respond. You sort of get the idea that she's slipping into her like discombobulated state, but she doesn't completely lose the plot and sort of pulls back and says, I need to do something with these. Yes. Right. The answer is yes.
Fine.
One moment, Glarvier. I'm going to pull you for a moment, here, Glarvier, and talk about oaths and vows and fealties and such.
Oh, my favorite subject.
I know. Well, for us, it's usually implied, ethark and country and all, but on your honor as a knight, Catla, you can assure us that whatever it is you must do will not, shall we say, have adverse effects on ourselves and the innocent, yes?
She says, well, there is a lot. I am a warrior.
Perhaps you could tell us what it is that you want to do.
I need to. And then she like blanks out, and sort of looks around once again to get her bearings, like, okay, where am I? And there's a sort of hiss that comes from the helmet of like annoyance, and this is just there's power in these remnants. The thing that allowed for, and then she trails off again, comes back to it. It's the thing that allowed the emissary to make and elevate Esagar is in the remnants. I need to pull it out.
If all I would ask then, Catla, is that such power is not used against us or the innocent. If you give me your vow on that as a knight, then
it's for, and she like changes timbre in the voice. It's like, no, it is for me. I'm looking for a way to safety, and she like is bewildered by what she just said, and sort of it's like, well, I am not in. I want to ask for your help. I'm not trying to be dangerous to you. On my word as a warrior, I would like to also apologize. And she changes the timbre again a little bit. I am not a knight, and I am sorry that I have lied to you.
Well, your honor
on that front
is honor is honor. You don't have to be knighted by some king. It's quite all right, Catla. You've given us your word, and everything we've seen of you has told us that you're honorable. So I would accept that, Glarir.
Terrell is entirely correct. Your actions speak more for your honor than any title would do. I am quite content with your word.
Well, shall we away then to Lord Barrack and his court?
Indeed.
She straightens up a bit, and it's a very distinct posture, and you've seen some of this like inherent reflex in the posture in the way that Cameron sometimes acts, usually in like social situations. Like you can tell like he's got some like some, not necessarily the skill etiquette, but like someone's drilled like specific modes of like physical body language into this person. So like it's a shift again in the sort of poise of Catla, and she straightens up a bit, like straight back, and says in a different sort of tone of voice once again, I am grateful for your mercy, and I hope that whatever comes next, I can rely on just that.
Well, did I not say I would try and help you in your curse in any way that I can? And I will do so.
And I will hold you to your word.
And she like loses the straight back and sort of shakes her head and wonders, I am glad to have made friends with such as you. In a different life,
have done this without you.
In a different life, it would have been glorious to share the battlefield.
Indeed.
No.
Well, let us. I will. Sorry, you rest. I need not to.
No.
I will take the watch.
Perhaps that life will be yours once again, Catla. Hopefully, we can give that to you. We owe, I would say, that much to you. Yes, Glaver?
I agree.
And she like mutters to herself, not trying to hide it, but just like again talking to herself basically as she goes away to supervise your charge. Yeah. She just mutters to herself like, I just don't want these people to die. And you're not quite sure if she's referring to the the prisoners or you as she goes.
Well,
but you can make your own.
It's all getting clocked. So,
Yeah.
No. But I have her oath now, so at least one end of the whatever is going on has given their word. So we'll see if we can hold them to that.
Yeah, and with that, I think we'll be on the road south, going back to Strathwell to catch up with Cameron and
who hopefully will
Lord
be
Berg.
with us next time.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, looking forward to having Matthew back and bring the
Parts unknown.
Yeah, yeah. Cameron Redwood build from parts unknown.
that much is accurate, actually. Anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah. We'll leave it there, and do the following episode next week.
Okay, well, thank you very much for running that. Very much enjoyed it. Pleasure as always. All right, I'll stop the stream here and